I am delighted to be joined by Michael Hall. Thank you so much, Michael, for taking the time in your busy schedule to talk to me today. We are absolutely honoured and delighted to have you kicking off the 2026 masterclasses with a 6-hour mega masterclass on meta thinking. So please do start, Michael, by telling us a little bit more about yourself and your presentation.
Well, in 2014, I got interested in really the core of NLP, beyond the communication model. What is at the core of the communication model? And that's when I started thinking about thinking, and that led to the realization that there's so many kinds of thinking, which I should have known because the meta programs talks about all of the different ways of thinking. And the meta programs was developed by Leslie Cameron Bandler when she discovered that thinking can get in the way of doing high quality NLP. And so starting from that presupposition, looking at the role of thinking in NLP and how that the meta model actually, while we talk about it as communication, it's really going to the kind of thinking that creates those ill-formedness statements that we come up with that then messes up our maps, which messes up our feelings, which messes up our lives. And so getting back to high quality thinking. And so out of that has come now 11 books on thinking.
A lot of thinking to do there. So what is fresh, innovative, and new that delegates are going to take away from this masterclass?
One of the things is the definition of thinking. I just assumed I knew until I really explored it. And thinking is working over an idea in your mind to create a result. So there's most of the time we're not thinking. Most of the time we're on automatic, or we're just reactionary, or the habit has just carried us away. So most of the time we're not thinking because thinking actually is a lot of work. It's very effortful. Um, Thinking over an idea to get a result. And so there's a lot of, I think, in our cultures, non-thinking, as we just quote whatever bullet points of the day is from the news or whatever someone has told us, so that instead of us doing individual thinking, creative thinking, and critical thinking, we just quote off what is easier. And so we don't think through things. And if we don't think through things, we're not going to make good decisions, because good decisions comes from thinking it through. I can't tell you how many times in my life, something goes wrong and I go, what was I thinking? And the answer is I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking. I was just making a choice, just an immediate choice based on emotion or circumstance. So getting people to do good thinking then leads to good speaking, good communication skills, which then leads to health and vitality and energy, so that we can live life to the full and have well-being and really be human beings instead of just robots quoting what we think is the politically correct thing to say at that moment.
And there must be an impact when you're saying that. I'm thinking of the impact of social media nowadays in helping people to think even less.
And as it shrinks our attention span, so that we can't concentrate, we can't focus, we just jump from one thing to the other, really we're undermining the ability to think clearly, to think critically, so we just don't buy anything and everything somebody says, and creatively, so that we can innovate some really life-changing things that solves problems instead of perpetuating problems.
This is going to be a great session. So, what top tip would you give to delegates that are attending your masterclass, Michael?
Say that again. What?
what tip would you give to delegates attending your masterclass?
Um, well, turn on the camera and stay with us. And when we do the processes, enter into the processes so that you can learn it experientially and not just academically. Um, the problem with any kind of Zoom meetings is that we observe it passively instead of actively. And that's part of thinking too, of working over an idea in our minds so that it becomes ours, it becomes integrated in our neurology. So the tip would be plan to be totally present,
Mm.
put aside the phone, put aside the other things, um, and act like you would act as if you were in an in-person class, because that's what we want to do, really apply it to practical things so that we can make a difference in our lives.
I love that. Be totally present. That's a really good, especially for a virtual masterclass. So thank you. So Michael, what inspired you to want to present one of the masterclasses and indeed present the most important masterclass of the year?
Well, as you mentioned just a moment ago, social media and the news, most journalists are not doing journalism anymore.
Mm.
They're promoting whatever bias their station or um, their their newspaper is promoting. And so we're getting a lot of the echo chamber going on. People, and so the confirmation bias, I listen to what confirms, so I'm not learning anything new. I'm not entertaining a different idea that would stretch my thinking and believing. So I think we in NLP have a great tool to offer to people how to think with more clarity. The meta model, I hope, will everybody will get so inspired to go relearn it because it is the best critical thinking tools chest set of tools that we have anywhere. And even in the field of critical thinking, nobody is quoting the meta model,
Right.
which is just craziness because it is the best tool because now we can go to the ill-formedness of the linguistic expressions and start questioning them, challenging them. And we think probably 95% of all of our thinking is in words,
Wow.
which makes thinking really dangerous and words really dangerous, which that's what we know in NLP, that
Mm.
the word is not the thing.
Mm.
The map is not the territory. It's so easy just to hear words and just let them slide in without questioning them. We live in the house of language, said one of the philosophers. We live in the house of language, and until we can step back and do thinking about our thinking, um, we are a victim of words.
Mm.
And so I hope people will take that as another takeaway to start being very suspicious and skeptical about words,
Yes.
that they're not real.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I mean, I'm already really looking forward to this. And as I said, it is a special masterclass for us because it starts our 2026 season and it's a 6-hour mega masterclass. So we're definitely going to delve deeply into this subject of meta thinking. And to remind those watching, Michael's masterclass, 6-hour masterclass on meta thinking is Saturday, the 7th of February, 2026, starting at 1500 hours, and that's GMT, 1500 hours GMT. So we're going to have a fantastic, very deep dive, and I think a very thoughtful masterclass where we can be fully present and fully understand more about what it is that you will be delving into. So thank you so much for your time, Michael. Very much looking forward to the masterclass.
Well, it's my privilege, and I appreciate you and what you've done with the ANOP conference for years and years and years. It's contributed so much to our field. People don't realize it, don't realize what it takes to put on the conference and these master classes. So a big thank you to you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.